What's up, guys? This is Kephas.
Alright, let's talk about the question. The one that's been haunting my DMs, my comment section, and probably my dreams. What's the best build for the single button assistant? And every time I hear this, I die a little inside because there really isn't one. It's like asking what's the best kind of bread. Depends, man. Are we making sandwiches or stuffing a turkey? You need context. So today we're going to try to answer the question, but like with most things, the answer isn't straightforward. So rather than just handing out a bunch of builds, we're gonna try to learn how to think like the single button assistant. Let's start with some definitions because it can get a little bit confusing. The single button assistant, or SBA, is Blizzard's official system. It's basically an internal AI that follows Blizzard's own priority logic. A list of what to press, when to press it, and how to slightly annoy you in the process. Compare that with GSSE, or GNOME Sequencer Enhanced. It's the OG. It's an add-on that's been doing what the SBA does, but for a whole lot longer. It works very differently though. It doesn't have a logic system. It simply cycles through abilities like it's doom-scrolling TikTok at 2 AM. You press the button and it goes to the next spell whether it's ready or not until eventually it hits something. So with GSE, fewer abilities tends to work better because it doesn't get bogged down with too many button presses. But SBA doesn't have that problem. It's not cycling, it's thinking. Well, kind of. It looks at every ability in your kit and presses the highest priority that's available, according to its logic. Now, Ret Paladin is my main, so let's use that as the guinea pig here, because honestly, SBA makes Ret feel like it's driving with the handbrake on. Playing Ret with the SBA has helped me identify what I think are the two major setbacks with the single button assistant, and honestly they affect each class in different ways. The first and most obvious problem is the global cooldown penalty. SBA intentionally slows your cast down. It's the price we have to pay for the mechanical offload. You're not relying on skills, so your output's going to be nerfed. The law of equivalent exchange. Every spell takes a tiny bit longer, and over time that adds up. Fewer casts per minute means less damage, which means sadness. Especially for melee classes who tend to have more instant cast abilities and whose damage relies on a higher APM. And at the risk of causing a certain class Discord to shut down again, I have to say that I feel like this affects Ret Paladins more than most. Because Ret has a couple of abilities that kind of need you to be fast. Divine Hammer stays active longer the more holy power you spend. Execution Sentence builds damage over an 8-second window. So if you're casting slower, both of these abilities lose value faster than Xbox Game Pass. The second problem is the limit of SBA's logic, meaning what abilities it uses and how it uses them. Again, this can be very inconsistent from one class to another. It handles some spells well while handling others poorly, and in some cases it doesn't even handle them at all. Ret Paladins are a unique case where it actually uses every single one of your abilities, but the trade-off is that it can lead to some of those abilities being wasted. Because it doesn't seem to care if the enemy has 1 HP left or how close it is to you. It simply sees a cooldown and says, "Hey, it's ready, fire the nukes!" And that's how you end up using Execution Sentence on a dying critter, or watching Divine Hammers spin gloriously in the air around you while there's nothing alive to hit. So between the slower GCD and the way it handles cooldowns, SBA spends half the time wasting these major abilities, which means we might want to rethink which talents actually fit its logic. Here's my golden rule. If you want to get the most damage, then you should always start with the meta. Why? Because the meta build is your baseline. It's the build that the smartest people in the room already tested to squeeze every drop of damage out of the class. Now, will it automatically be best for SBA? Absolutely not. But it gives you a starting point, a control group.
Yes, science!
For Ret, that meta build usually means Execution Sentence, Divine Hammer, Wake of Ashes, big burst windows. Great for sweaty DPS charts, not so great for a tool that moves like it's stuck in molasses. And the more I played Ret using this build, the more I saw the SBA firing these cooldowns into the void or simply not getting as much out of them. So I considered swapping out the problem children and started looking for alternatives. First, I swapped Execution Sentence for Final Reckoning, because Final Reckoning just does damage. You press it, it explodes, things die, it's beautiful. It does steady damage and provides a flat damage buff, so it's a lot harder to waste it. Not much thinking needs to go into using Final Reckoning, so it's perfect for the single button assistant. Then I looked at Divine Hammer, said goodbye to those glorious spinning hammers, and swapped it out for a very boring talent, Jurisdiction. A lot less interesting, a lot less meta, but a lot more simple, which again is perfect for the SBA. After that, I simmed the setup on raid bots using these custom commands that basically tell SimC to pretend it's using the SBA.
Nerd!
Wait, what?
The results showed that the meta build still won by about 50,000 DPS, which means that on paper the meta still wins. But here's the thing, paper isn't real life. In real content, SBA throws cooldowns like it's playing darts blindfolded. The meta build may win in theory, but if half your big burst windows are wasted, the difference starts to close fast. When I actually played with the adjusted build, it felt smoother. Damage was steadier, the rotation was cleaner, and I wasn't standing there with glowing hammers of wasted potential circling the drain. Now, when you're experimenting with different builds, you might think that the secret to SBA is to take all the passive talents that you can, and I get it. The fewer abilities SBA has to think about, the fewer chances it has to screw up. But here's the twist. Not all passives actually work with SBA. And if the SBA doesn't understand them, they can be just as wasted as a misused active talent. So what I like to do is start with meta builds and see how things work. If I see it struggling with anything, then I'll try and swap it out for something more simple. I'll run sims to compare, and as long as the results are close enough, I'll try it out in game. If it seems smoother, I'm noticing less oopsies, and I'm not trailing too far behind in damage, then I know I'm in a good spot. Now, I'm still learning and there are a lot of classes. And quite frankly, I'm not exactly a cutting edge player to begin with. But I know enough to recognize that SBA isn't perfect. If you can understand its limits though, you can craft builds that work better within them. My best advice is to start with the meta and work your way from there. At the end of the day, the single button assistant will never beat a skilled player. That's fine. It's not supposed to. It's an accessibility feature, not a high performance AI. But with the right setup, it can get close, and more importantly, it can make the game more enjoyable for people who need it. So don't chase the mythical SBA build. Instead, learn how to work with the system. Build around the single button assistant and the type of content you're doing. Test, tweak, and experiment until you find what feels good. And when you do, please share it, because the more data we have, the more we can figure out how to get the most out of one button. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go watch Divine Hammers spin around my Paladin, hitting absolutely nothing for the upteenth time and questioning my life choices. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.
Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, let me know by clicking that like button. And feel free to share it with your friends so they can enjoy it as well. And if you'd like to see more videos, you can subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon to be notified as soon as new videos are posted. You can also follow me on Facebook, and if you like, you can support my work on Patreon. Links to all that stuff can be found in the description below. This is Kephas. Until next time.